and welcome back to your second tutorial, Learn Python 3 by example. And what we're going to do in the second tutorial here is build off of what we learned in the previous tutorial. Previous tutorial we learned how to create a variable, we learned how to create a string, and we also learned how to print that string to the terminal. Now we're going to throw a new function into the mix where we actually ask the user for their name and then we'll print the name back to them. It's another basic program, but it's a program nonetheless. So let's get started. Let's go ahead and open up your text editor, and here's our previous tutorial where we got we created a variable that pointed to a string called hello world, and then we printed that back. So I'm going to introduce you to a concept called dry, and what it is don't repeat yourself. So if you created a program and you're going to use the same concepts, then you probably should just copy this and then paste it in our new program. But since we're learning Python, we want you to write it out so you get practice writing the code. So let's skip over dry for now, but I just want you to be aware that dry stands for don't repeat yourself, and when you're programming you probably shouldn't do that, because why would you recreate the wheel every time you went to write a new program? It's pointless. So Python's built on the dry programming concept. They're really big on it, and they also have a package library with thousands of Python software that we can use in our programs anytime we want. So we'll take a look at that in the future, and we'll use some of those programs. But for now, let's go ahead and build our own program and write the code out and not be lazy. So let's go ahead and create a new file. So Command N will create a new file. Command S will save that file. And we're going to name this tutorial 2. Alright. .py. Oops, .py. Make sure you got the .py, and make sure you're saving it in your programs folder like we did in the previous tutorial. Alright, cancel that. Alright, so we're going to put a comment up here, and we're going to say taking user's response. And that's our main goal in today's program, is to take the user's response and we're going to return it to them. So our problem here is, how do we take a user's response? The cool thing in Python is there's a built-in function, just like we had the built-in function print. The built-in function is called input, and the input will take the user's input via the terminal, and then we can do something with it. So we can get the user's input. So with that being said, let's create a variable, and we're going to call it user. Alright, and we're going to assign that user to whatever the user input is. So the input function is input, and then your parentheses, and then inside here we can actually put in a message or a string that prompts the user. So go ahead and create a string with the quotes, and we're going to say, what is your name? Question mark, and then you put a space here. It looks a little bit better in terminal if you throw a space in there. Alright, so what does this input function do? Well, like I said, it takes the user's input, but it also, when it returns it back to the memory, it's going to be returned in a string format. So we'll see that in a second, but it's returned in a string format. So if you're ever working with numbers or anything like that, you're going to have to convert them. If you're doing, we'll see this in the future, but if we're creating a calculator or something like that, we would have to convert the input into an integer or a floating point number versus a string. So, alright, so we got the user's input, alright, and user is going to represent that input in the memory, and what we're going to do now is the same thing we did in the previous tutorial. We're going to print it back, and then we just put user in here to print the string that's returned to us via the user variable. Alright, go ahead and save that, open your terminal, and we're going to run this program. So it's going to be Python 3 tutorial 2.py, and this runs it, and as you can see it says what is your name, and then right there I can type my name in, hit return, and it returns Tom to me. So that was a pretty simple program, but if you think about it, we did do some complicated stuff there. It's 2 lines of code, but hey, we asked the user to enter their name, so we're interacting with users now, and we're returning a message. We're displaying something back. So that, if you think about it, that is a kind of complicated program there, but it's really simple in Python. So if you have any questions, leave a comment on our forum, and I'll be able to help you out. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next tutorial. Have a nice day.